Hi guys, welcome to another tutorial. I'm Yinky and today I'll be showing you how to make an half scale bodice. So this tutorial is a kind of tutorial that you really need because half scale bodice is very useful in creating dress, in creating different type of dresses that you might think of, the long, the short, and also the 3/4. So here I just input the bust, the under bust, and the half length. I input all the vertical measurements and take the straight lines. So since the bust on the vertical is 10, under bust is 13.5, and half length is 16. That is what I just input. So I'm going to label the bust as B, the under bust as UB, and the half length as you can see. So I'm going to take this step by step. So here is the shoulder. The shoulder I just input 7.5, and here this is the upper chest. I input 2 from the bust line. So 2 inches from the bust line upward is the upper chest. So after I have done that, the next thing is to label upper chest as UC. And here is from the shoulder, the shoulder length. I just run the length to the upper chest to create my armhole length. And here is the nipple to nipple. The nipple to nipple is 7 divided by 2, 3.5. Then I add half of an inch to make it 4. So I'm inputting 4 here as the dart leg. So I'll just take a straight line to indicate the dart leg. I came down 1 inch from the bust line so that I will stop before I get to the bust point. So just to create the waist dart, half of an inch on both sides of the dart leg is what I use to create the waist dart. So this is just a basics. So if you're creating a bustier, you're still going to increase the dart intake. So after I have done that, the next thing is to input the circumference of the bust measurement here divided by 4. So here the circumference of the under bust measurement divided by 4 is also what I want to put here, but remember to put your dart intake. Wherever there is a dart, just replace the dart. So I'm going to replace the dart here. The dart is just 1/4 of an inch, and that is what I just placed. Then I'm going to repeat the same on the half length. The dart intake is 1 inch, as you can see. So I'm going to add it to the circumference divided by 4. The circumference of the waist is 32 divided by 4, which is 8, plus 1 inch is 9. So, and that is what I just input. Remember, I have not input the sewing allowance. I just put all the dart intake. Whenever there is a dart, make sure you replace the dart by the time you are putting your measurement. Then I'll go to the upper chest and place my bust measurement, the same bust measurement plus half of an inch is what I place on the upper chest. The bust measurement, which is 9, plus half of an inch gives me 9.5. Then having done that, I'm going to input my sewing allowance. So here I just input sewing allowance of 1 inch because the dress I want to use this pattern for is not the one that has a lining. So that's why I'm putting 1 inch. If it is the one that has a lining, just put 2 inches. It's better to have enough sewing allowance. So here the neck depth is 3.5. The neck width is 3.5 while the depth is 4. So the neck width is 3.5 while the depth is 4. And that is what I had just input. The shoulder slope, I came down by half of an inch. I use half of an inch. Many sewmates use 1 inch, but I think this half of an inch works for me better. So that's why I'm using half of an inch. So after I have done that, the next thing is to mark whatever I have here from the shoulder to the upper chest. I have 7.5. Then I divide 7.5 into 2. So I have 3 and 3/4. Then I came out here by half of an inch to create the armhole curve. So I'll first of all use my free hand to mark how the curve will be before I use my curve ruler to do that. So I'll use my curve ruler to bring out the armhole curve like so. So having done that, I'm going to add sewing allowance on the shoulder. Sewing allowance of half of an inch is what I just added on the shoulder, and I label this as my front pattern. You can see this is very easy. So there is one thing I want to create here, the shoulder dart. So to create the shoulder dart, it is not compulsory for all your pattern. So I'm going to input 1 inch here, I extend out by 1 inch from the shoulder slope. So just let it slope the same way. Extend out by 1 inch on the shoulder slope because I want to put a shoulder dart. So I'm going to place my curve ruler like so, because the dart will end somewhere here. That's why I curve it up like that, and I have created my shoulder dart. So here I noticed that my camera went off, so I'm going to repeat this process. I have 5 inches here, so then I divide 5 by 2. I have 2.5. So I mark this is 2.5. On that 2.5, I'm going to create the half of an inch on both sides. Then the dart leg is 5.5. Half of an inch, which is the dart intake, that makes 1 inch on the shoulder. So that is how I created my shoulder dart. So I added sewing allowance of ½ inch here with my curve ruler, sewing allowance of ½ inch on the armhole. Then our pattern is ready. I can go ahead now. Don't forget, remember to add sewing allowance on the waistline also. I did that, but it was off the camera. So here is my back pattern. Here is my back pattern. The ZA means zipper allowance. ZA means zipper allowance, and that zipper allowance is 1 inch. For the purpose of this tutorial, you can still make it 1.5 if you are adding a lining to your fabric. So I just mark out the point, the UC. I just use the front to bring out all the lines on the back. So just trace out the back with the front. So I just trace this out, then I stop here because there is no shoulder dart on the back shoulder slant. So the reason why I cross that part is that no shoulder dart. So I'm going to stop where I mark. I won't reach the 1 inch extension. So the same neck width, but the depth is different. The depth that I use here is 3/4. It's not up to 1 inch. So because I don't want the back to be too deep. So here it's optional. You can make it deeper than this, but this is what I'm using for this tutorial. So I have created the back neckline, and the next thing is to create the dart here. So the same 4 inches that I input is still what I will input here. 4 on half length, 4 on under bust, 4 on bust, and 4 on the upper chest. So having done that, I'm going to create that with my straight line. So at this point, the straight line will reach the upper chest because it's the back. So having done that, I will take ½ inch on both sides, ½ inch, which is 1 inch in total. And what I'm inputting here is the waist dart. So I'm going to land it on the upper chest, and I have created that. So having done that, the next thing to do is to input the circumference measurement, and the circumference measurement is the way I just input it on my front bodice. So I'm going to bring out the armhole line like so. From the shoulder line, just draw a straight line and stop on the upper chest. So having done that, the next thing to do is to input the measurement. So I'm going to input all the measurement. Like I told you, wherever there is a dart intake, make sure you replace the dart intake. It does not affect the measurement you are still going, the sewing allowance that you are still going to put. So remember to input your dart intake. So I have dart intake of 1 inch here, and I'm replacing it. So after I have done that, I'm going to connect all the measurements like so. So here is the sewing allowance. Sewing allowance of 1 inch will be added to this pattern, and I'll just connect it like so with my straight ruler. I hope this is explanatory enough. So after that, what I have here is creating the shoulder slope and mark the midpoint on the armhole to be able to create my armhole curve. So I have just created my armhole curve here, and I added sewing allowance on the armhole curve. So I'm adding sewing allowance of ½ of an inch on the armhole curve, and this is what I have. So I'm labeling this as half scale bodice back. So we are almost done with the back body. So I'm going to create 2 pieces of this when I'm cutting it on the fabric. When I'm cutting it, I'll create 2 pieces of this. So I want to do something here, and just take note. So here, this is the back bodice, and I have input all the measurement. I have 17. adding sewing allowance of half on the downside and half on the upper part, because the half length is 16 from the onset. So here you're going to take 1 inch off. Remember, we are done with the pattern creating here. I'll take 1 inch off, and I'll tell you why I did that. I did that because when you're taking your measurement, when you take note, the back is shorter than the front. When you take the shoulder, from the shoulder to the half length, when you take the measurement at the back and at the front, you will notice that the back is always shorter than the front. So at the same point where the front is maybe 16 inches, you will notice that at that same point, the back is like 15 inches, like 1 inch shorter. So that is what I'm trying to create here. So I'll come to the front bodice here and take a dart of 1 inch on the side from the bust line. I'll just mark that 1 inch. Then I'll use it to create a side dart. So that side dart will fill in for the back, so that the back will match each other, and this the pattern will make a beautiful piece by the time you're using it to make any type of dress or shirt or anything you're making it with. So that side dart will land on the breast point. So I just created the side dart, that the dart will just stop on the breast point. So you can make it a sewing dart, or you can just remove it. So I'm going to make it a sewing dart by folding it up. I'll fold it up and use my paper tape to hold it later. So let's cross check how this works. So this, while folding it up, this will make it to match up with the back bodice at the side. So I'm going to bring the back bodice and try to check if it works like that, so that by the time you are inputting the measurement, you're going to place the back on the front. It will be able to everything will be equal. One will not be longer than the other. So that is what we are going to do. I'll bring the back and use it to match. So you can see it's matching up with each other here. You can see it's matching up with each other here. You can see it's matching up. This is the back, and you can see how it is. It's matching up correctly. And we have almost come to the end of this tutorial. So make sure you like, share, and also you can also leave your comment if you have any question on this tutorial. I'm going to reply to you as soon as I see your question. So here, just take your paper tape, because I'm going to use it. This will be a sewing dart. So I'll use my paper tape to just sellotape it up, so that I won't need to hold the dart, because I'm using a crepe. It always work on a crepe material, any material that can stretch a little. This type of sewing dart usually works on it. So I'm going to just fold it up. But if it is a material that does not stretch, you are going to make it a sewing. You are going to hold the dart, that the dart will be visible. So here, this is what I just did, and we are almost at the end of this tutorial. So don't forget to share, as I told you, like, and also if you have not subscribed to my channel, please do so, as lots of tutorial await you on this channel. So make sure you don't forget to remove the back neckline. So I'm trying to remove this here, because I almost forgot to do that. So I will see you in my next tutorial. Until then, take good care of yourself. Bye.